30 seconds. These still silly points, it's silly, right? I mean, this is really happening.
It is really the last three. Harvey, 64 inches in Jefferson County, broke the world record for rainfall, okay? Then Irma, the longest sustained Category 5 hurricane in history. And then Maria in Puerto Rico, okay? Then we had 2 feet of rain in 12 inches. Can you imagine LA, 2 feet of rain? There's nowhere for the water to go. And so we broke 3 records within 30 days. And people talking about this being a weather event. It's not a weather event. It's basically the atmosphere giving us feedback on what we've done down here, and we've got to reverse it.
Okay, so in the book, it talks about 7 different categories.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. Well, I wanted to bring you an update on Nate. It is now a hurricane. It actually became a hurricane overnight tonight, so it has been upgraded. So I want to show you 85-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It is a Category 1 hurricane. At the 5 o'clock advisory, winds were at 80 miles per hour, and we've got gusts up to 100. It is racing, though. It's moving to the north-northwest at 22 miles per hour, so it is moving very quickly, and it's over the Gulf of Mexico, which has some very warm water, so it's not a surprise that it did strengthen overnight.
This storm is going to be all the way from New Orleans with significantly heavy rain, possibly trying to flood the city with fresh water because the pumps are working, but you can't put tens of inches anywhere. Now, this is a quick-moving storm. We don't anticipate that, but neither did Havana expect to see such a big storm this morning, but it's there right now.
Is it really? Let's see. He said there's a big storm right there in Havana right now. Let's take a peek. Let's go to Intellicast. Let's type in Havana and see what they've got going on there. Because I got news for you guys. Here's Havana, Cuba, right? Let's look at their past observations. Because this is supposed to be where a tropical storm, now a hurricane, it just passed through. Let's take a peek at their most recent observations. Their wind speeds are 8 miles an hour as of 10 o'clock this morning. Okay? And let's look and see what this broken clouds, overcast, broken clouds, overcast, overcast, broken clouds, overcast. Doesn't look like it's been pummeling with rain there. What big storm is he talking about? Because it's not being registered by their weather stations here, guys. Let's take a peek at their wind. Their wind speed should surely show 65, 70 mile an hour winds, but they don't. Okay, as of 6:55 p.m. last night, the highest wind speed recorded in Havana, Cuba was 14 miles an hour. This narrative does not match reality. Let's go take a peek back at Cancun, because this was supposed to have blitzed through Cancun and Playa del Carmen. Let's just look at Cancun. We're going to look at the last information here we got from Cancun, past observations, because right now it's broken clouds. Right now the wind speeds are 10 miles an hour. Okay, so maybe it passed through. Let's take a peek and see. We surely should see 65 mile an hour winds, 70 mile an hour winds. If it's a hurricane, 74 mile an hour winds. Let's take a peek and see what we got wind-wise over here in Cancun. Since 12:47 p.m., highest wind speeds 14 miles an hour. Let's take a peek at this horrible rainstorm that happened. Broken clouds, overcast, 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 broken clouds, scattered clouds. Not a mention of rain, guys. This is a complete fraud. Look at the wind speeds going through here. 7 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour. None of this. This is not real. This is a complete fraud. But let's take a peek to make sure, because our National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration has millions of buoys in the water. So let's hit the storm special and view the latest observations near Atlantic Hurricane Nate, because these are just independent data readers. Let's see what it has to say. These numbers here are the identification number of all the buoys that are in that particular path. Let's read. Let's see. First, let's benchmark here to get you guys to see that a hurricane wind speeds would have to be 74 miles an hour, which would be 64 knots. So let's go back to the NOAA buoys here and take a peek. Here we have this column here, WSPD, and KTS means these are registered in knots. Remember, we need to see knots of 64 knots for it to qualify as a hurricane. Here we go. Let's take a peek at the wind speeds. Wind speeds, 9.7, 9.7, 7.8, 21.4, 23.3. All the way down. These are all independent. These are all little measurements that are floating in the water. And just because we don't know how to read them doesn't mean we shouldn't know what they say. Here's what it says right here, 20 knots. 19 knots. So the highest wind speed we've recorded by the NOAA buoys, the actual measurements, this is like the thermometers. Okay, these are the actual measurements in the floating water, in the path, according to NOAA. This is their hurricane storm special information, okay? With the most current recent information, it's right here. This is it, real time data, guys. 23.3 knots. Let's just see how fast that is. Let's go to 23.3 knots. That's only 26 miles an hour, guys. So why is he reporting that there's a hurricane here? They've called it a hurricane, but what, by all measurements, the actual measurements by which we measure a hurricane, wind speeds, rain, none of this stuff is here. Even our own national instruments that measure this stuff. You guys want to tell me NOAA is lying? You want to tell me that every single one of their floating buoys is wrong? Why don't we ask the heck what's going on with this media? What in the hell are they giving us this live for, you guys? Let's take a peek and see what's actually happening on radar. This is what's happening in Cuba. Go back to my other videos. I'll put links in the description. You can see this is exactly how Hurricane Irma became a hurricane. It wasn't a hurricane for the 6 or 7 days before it hit Florida. It was just nothing. There was no storm there, nothing. Just like there's been no storm here called Tropical Storm Nate. This is a lie. Our government has hijacked the media. This is a propaganda arm. When I say propaganda, you guys, the only objective of propaganda is to shape public opinion and shape public understanding. It does not mean that New Orleans and Florida and in Mississippi and Alabama, that they're not going to be hit. Oh, they're going to be hit by something, guys. He's sitting here telling you that they're going to be hit. But it's not going to be by the lie storm that they've been creating in the news. Then you have to wonder why they're giving you this information. They're putting the city on lockdown. They're putting the city under martial law, state of emergency. Why?
Hey guys, I'm Valeria Sistrunk. And so Ben, last week, I don't know if you've heard about this, but New Orleans had one of the most destructive storms since Katrina, all right? So they saw rainfall drop as much as 20 inches of rain in some places. And, you know, that was just about 24-hour period, which is insane, okay?
Right.
But no one's talking about it.
Right. Actually, honestly, I didn't know about this story. That's the part that freaks me out the most. I had no idea about that this was happening. And when you think about it happening in New Orleans, you see New Orleans is a neglected city. It reminds me so much of Katrina. It reminds me of how George Bush didn't really pay attention to what was going on. Nobody is paying. Donald Trump has said nothing about this. Water, and we've not heard a single thing.
No.
I mean, not just Donald Trump, but the media. Who's covered this? I haven't heard anyone cover this, and there's property damage. I mean, look at the extent, like, look at the screen, images on your screen.
It's terrible. And I mean, this is the worst flood they've had in decades, you know,
Yes.
since Katrina. So that's immediately what people, when they see these clips, that's what comes to mind for me. And it's like, where is the White House? Where's the Trump administration? Why aren't they saying anything about this? This is, people were walking on South Beach with the water up to here, and Donald Trump is still blind to this global warming crisis that we're going to, and still calling it a hoax.
New Orleans under a state of emergency this morning. The city's water pumping system is malfunctioning, and with more rain in the forecast, officials say some neighborhoods are at risk of serious flooding. New Orleans is still recovering from last weekend's heavy rains. The city has only one working turbine, which provides power to drainage pumps, so schools are closed today as a precaution.
So now they're saying that this is be coming in here, just 3 inches of rain caused flooding in the rain. Now that is bullshit. As you just saw, there was 20 inches of rain that came down, and the pumps failed, and they lied about it. So people thinking the pumps are going to happen. No, the pumps can't handle so much rain. That's the new paradigm, is they can't handle this much water no matter what they plan for, because these are unprecedented weather terrorism events. So folks, I want to end this on fighting compassion fatigue. It's going to get tougher. It's going to get harder. This is the transition they've been planning. Trump now says he's got this, just wait, there's something big going to happen. Priming the pump, priming the pump. Keep your focus. Keep helping others. Get your own a supply mask on so you can help others. Get some food supplies. Get some water. Because things are changing so fast, it's going to be unpredictable. They're using weather terrorism. They're using massive debt. They're using just climate compassion fatigue by just story after story of suffering going on around the world. And just absolute chaos is how they're going to bring their order. That's how they do it. Order out of chaos. But we're going to win because we have love on our side. Hate cannot conquer hate. Only love can conquer hate. And we were born for these times. We came here to fight this fight. So stand up and be counted. Speak out. More and more are waking up, especially after the false Las Vegas shootings and all the weather war terrorism. Everybody's waking up now. So it's time to speak out even more. Speak your truth to power. We're not alone anymore. We're not lone wolves in the just crying out into the winds where nobody can hear us. I think we're going to have a lot more voices. All right, that's for a plain truth out. Thank you for all your donations. If you want to go on to freetogive.me, we've got the GoFundMe site fixed where we're accepting donations, and hhelpandassistance@gmail.com. You can use PayPal to pay there. We've given out over $4,200. We just shipped to Houston sanitizers. They need humidifiers. We shipped toilet paper. We sent through Amazon masks and water moisture readers for the homes and stuff. But we're being told that it's getting desperate there from people on the ground. So anything you can donate, we will make sure it gets to the people. All right, plain truth out. We'll catch you in another video, Doc. Peace.
Hour, and we've got gusts up to 100. It is racing, though. It's moving to the north-northwest at 22 miles per hour, so it is moving very quickly, and it's over the Gulf of Mexico, which has some very warm water, so it's not a surprise that it did strengthen overnight.
This storm is going to be all the way from New Orleans with significantly heavy rain, possibly trying to flood the city with fresh water because the pumps are working, but you can't put tens of inches anywhere.
Feedback on what we've done down here, and we've got to reverse it.
Okay, so in the book, it talks about 7 different categories.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. Well, I wanted to bring you an update on Nate. It is now a hurricane. It actually became a hurricane overnight tonight, so it has been upgraded. So I want to show you 85-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It is a Category 1 hurricane. At the 5 o'clock advisory, winds were at 80 miles per hour.
These still silly points, it's silly, right? I mean, this is really happening.
It is really the last 3, Harvey, 64 inches in Jefferson County, broke the world record for rainfall, okay?
Now, this is a quick-moving storm. We don't anticipate that, but neither did Havana expect to see such a big storm this morning, but it's there right now.
Is it really? Let's see. He said there's a big storm right there in Havana right now. Let's take a peek. Let's go to Intellicast. Let's type in Havana and see what they've got going on there. Because I got news for you guys. Here's Havana, Cuba, right? Let's look at their...
Then Irma, the longest sustained Category 5 hurricane in history. And then Maria in Puerto Rico, okay. Then we had 2 feet of rain in 12 inches. Can you imagine LA, 2 feet of rain? There's nowhere for the water to go. And so we broke 3 records within 30 days, and people talking about this being a weather event. It's not a weather event. It's basically the atmosphere giving us